You're scrolling Zillow at midnight. Again, calculator app open in another tab, running the same mental loop you've been stuck in for 6 months. 7% interest rates feel insane, so you're waiting for the Fed to cut rates. But that same house you favorited in April is now $45,000 more expensive. Your parents keep texting articles saying housing market about to crash while your coworker just closed on a house and seems fine. And your landlord just raised your rent $300 a month, which means you'll burn $3,600 this year waiting for clarity that never comes. Sound familiar? You're trapped in analysis paralysis hell. And here's why you can't decide. Everyone's giving you partial information optimized for their agenda. Real estate agents say buy now, rates will drop, and you can refinance. Financial influencers scream, wait, the crash is coming. Your landlord is silently grateful you're stuck overthinking. And nobody, literally nobody, is showing you the actual math comparing all three scenarios with your specific numbers. I'm going to show you the brutal calculation everyone avoids. What waiting actually costs in burned rent versus what buying now costs in higher interest versus what waiting for lower prices costs if you're wrong. We'll run real numbers for a median priced home, calculate the exact break even points, and reveal which scenario actually costs you less over 5 years. No real estate propaganda, no crash prediction fantasies, just ruthless mathematics. If rates drop 2% but prices rise 15% while you wait, do you actually save money? And how much are you burning in rent to find out? Here's your gridlock. 3 options. All of them feel wrong. Buy now at 7% rates and overpay. Wait for rates to drop to 5% but risk price appreciation. Or wait for prices to crash but risk waiting forever while your rent bleeds you dry. And here's the thing that nobody wants to tell you. All 3 options are compromised. There's no clean win here. The people telling you there's an obvious right answer are selling you something or have already made their choice and need you to validate it. You've got the buy now camp saying lock in your payment, build equity, rates will drop, and you'll refinance. You've got the wait for rates camp running calculators showing how much you'll save monthly when the Fed cuts. And you've got the crash predictors showing you charts from 2008 saying this time it's just like last time. Meanwhile, you're losing sleep, refreshing Redfin, watching your dream neighborhood slip further out of reach month by month. Let me validate something right now. Your anxiety is completely rational. This is a terrible time to make this decision. The math is worse than it's been in decades. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to calculate the complete cost of each scenario, including the opportunity cost everyone conveniently forgets. And the answer is going to piss off both the buy now cheerleaders and the wait forever camp, because the truth doesn't care about anyone's narrative. Let's establish our baseline. $450,000 home. That's median for many markets right now. Not coastal California crazy. Not rural nowhere cheap. This is the house you're actually looking at. 1,500 square feet. 3-bed, 2-bath. Built in 1995. Laminate countertops. Carpet that's technically beige but reads as gray. Popcorn ceilings in the bedrooms. A deck that needs staining. This is what $450,000 buys you today. Current scenario. 7% interest rate. You put 20% down. That's $90,000 you've saved. Your monthly principal and interest payment is $2,400. And this is where everyone stops the calculation. $2,400 sounds manageable, right? Wrong. That's just principal and interest. Here's the line-by-line reality. Property tax, $350 monthly. Homeowners insurance, $200 monthly, and rising fast because insurance companies are fleeing risk. HOA fees, $150 monthly for basic neighborhood maintenance, and maintenance, $200 monthly if you're using the standard 1% of home value annually rule. Add it up. Your true monthly housing cost is $3,300, not $2,400. $3,300. Now let's talk about who can actually afford this. The median household income in the United States is about $75,000. Standard lending guidance says you shouldn't spend more than 28% of your gross income on housing. That's the front end ratio. For someone making $75,000, that's $1,750 monthly maximum. Our house costs $3,300. You need to make approximately $65,000 minimum to keep housing at $3,300 without being house poor. And even then, you're pushing the boundary. This is the now number. $3,300 monthly, 65,000 minimum income required. Remember these numbers. We're about to see if waiting makes this more affordable or worse. Everyone's waiting for rates to drop to 5%. Let's say you're right and it happens in 18 months. The Fed starts cutting, mortgage rates follow, and suddenly you're looking at 5% instead of 7. Victory, right? Not so fast. Here's the mechanism nobody explains. When rates drop, demand surges. Every single buyer who's been sitting on the sidelines waiting, just like you, jumps in simultaneously. Every single one. And here's what didn't happen during those 18 months of high rates. Builders didn't build enough new homes. Construction slowed because financing was expensive and buyers were scarce. So when rates drop, you've got a tsunami of demand hitting a constrained supply. Classic collision. This isn't theory. This is historical pattern. When rates dropped from around 7% to 5% in 2019 into 2020, guess home prices in hot markets jumped 12 to 18% within a year. Demand flooded back in and prices rocketed. So let's run the actual math on your scenario. Same house. 18 months from now, rates dropped to 5%. You were right, but that house is no longer 450,000. It's now 515,000. 15% appreciation because everyone rushed in when rates dropped. Your monthly principal and interest payment is now $2,200. That's $200 less than the $2,400 you'd pay now. Sounds good, but here's the gut punch. The purchase price is $65,000 higher. Your 20% down payment is no longer $90,000. It's now $103,000. You need $13,000 more in cash than you needed 18 months ago. And property tax is based on purchase price, so that's higher. Insurance is higher because replacement cost is higher. Your total monthly cost is now $3,100. Let me make sure you're seeing this clearly. You saved $200 per month by waiting for the rate drop, but you needed $13,000 more for the down payment. And here's the number everyone forgets. You were renting during those 18 months. At $3,300 per month, the same as ownership would have cost, you burned $59,400 in rent. Gone. Evaporated. You own nothing from that money. Total cost of waiting for the rate drop. $59,400 in rent burned plus $13,000 additional down payment needed equals $72,400 to save $200 a month. Let's calculate break even. 72,400 divided by 200 monthly savings equals 362 months. That's 30 years. You need to own that house for 30 years just to break even on waiting for rates to drop. And that's assuming prices only go up 15%. That's assuming your rent doesn't increase during the wait. That's assuming rates actually drop on your timeline. This is the math real estate cheerleaders never show you. The rate drop fantasy costs you $72,000 to save $200 monthly. The math is absolutely brutal. Okay. So waiting for rate drops is a trap. What about waiting for prices to crash? This is where we need to see what waiting actually looks like day to day for a real household. Meet Sarah and Miguel. Combined income $78,000. They've been waiting since 2022 for the crash. They started with $95,000 saved for a down payment. Disciplined savers. They're currently renting at $2,800 per month. That rent started at $2,400 in 22, but has been raised twice. They're not spending the down payment money. They're model waiters. They're doing everything the financial doom predictors told them to do. Here's their complete monthly budget reality. $78,000 salary is approximately $4,800 monthly take-home after federal taxes, state taxes, Social Security, Medicare, and health insurance premiums. Now let's subtract expenses. Rent, $2,800. 2 car payments, $450 combined. Student loans, $300. Utilities including electric, gas, water, internet, cell phones, $200. Groceries for 2 people, $600. Gas for commuting, $200. Add that up. $4,550. They have $250 per month remaining for savings, emergencies, car repairs, medical copays, clothing, entertainment, and life. $250. They're running on a knife edge. Every 6 months, they sit down and run the numbers again. Should we buy now? But every analysis says, wait, prices will drop. Every YouTube video says the crash is coming. Every Reddit thread confirms their bias, so they wait. Meanwhile, the homes they were targeting in 22 at 425,000 are now 450,000. Prices didn't crash. They plateaued and then crept up. Yet they've burned $67,200 in rent over 24 months. Their down payment savings is now 98,000 because they could barely add to it with only 250 monthly margin. The math has gotten worse while they waited. Not better, worse. Here's the brutal truth. Home prices in most markets haven't crashed. They've plateaued or inched up slowly. Even if prices drop 10% tomorrow, that takes the 450,000 house to 405,000. Still 20,000 more than their target homes cost in 22. Sarah and Miguel burned 67,000 in rent to potentially save 20,000 in purchase price. Net loss, $47,000. And that's the optimistic scenario where prices actually drop. But here's the real torture. The psychological cost? Every single month they recalculate. Should they have bought a year ago? 2 years ago? The clarity never comes. They're stuck in optimization hell, running the same mental loop, watching their rent burn while waiting for permission from the market to make a move. Permission that never arrives. They're not losing because they're undisciplined. They're losing because they're playing a game where waiting has a cost that compounds silently while potential savings are hypothetical and may never materialize. And every month that passes, the sunk cost grows larger. It's making it harder psychologically to pull the trigger because now they have to admit the waiting was expensive. So buying now sucks because rates are high. Waiting for rates backfires because prices rise. Waiting for crashes bleeds you dry in rent. What's the actual least bad option? Let's return to baseline. $400,000 to $50,000 home, 7% rate, $3,300 monthly all-in cost. Here's what buying now gives you: certainty. Your housing cost is locked. Your landlord cannot raise it. Ever. Every payment builds equity. Yes, mostly interest at first, but some principal. After 5 years at $3,300 monthly, you've paid $198,000 total. Approximately $55,000 went to principal. You're down $143,000 net, but you own something. You have $55,000 in equity, assuming zero appreciation. Now compare to Sarah and Miguel's wait scenario. 5 years of rent averaging $2,800 monthly, accounting for increases. Total burned $178,000. They own nothing, zero equity. They're $178,000 poorer with nothing to show for it. If they finally buy in year 5 at $475,000, modest appreciation, they're still behind the person who bought in year 1. Here's the quotable verdict, and this will piss off both camps. There is no perfect time. There's only the time that works for your numbers. And sometimes works for your numbers means not buying at all. If you make less than $65,000 for a $450,000 home, you cannot afford to buy now or later. The math doesn't work. If rates drop to 5 and prices rise, you need even more income. If prices drop 10%, but you've burned your savings waiting and your rent has increased, the math still doesn't work. Below the income threshold, renting isn't losing. It's the financially intelligent choice until your income rises or you move to a cheaper market. Let me give you permission to accept that without shame. Why is this so confusing? Because everyone profits from your uncertainty except you. Real estate agents profit whether you buy now or later. They just want the commission. They'll say buy now, refinance later because they get paid today. If you wait and buy later, they still get paid, just later. They have zero incentive to tell you not to buy. Mortgage lenders make money when you borrow, so they'll show you creative ways to make the payment look affordable while completely ignoring opportunity cost and risk. They'll show you adjustable rates, interest-only periods, anything to get you to sign. Financial doomers get clicks and ad revenue from crash predictions, so they'll feed your confirmation bias forever. Every month, they'll find new data supporting the crash narrative. Sighing if the crash doesn't come, they'll move the timeline. They profit from keeping you engaged and afraid, not from you making a good decision. Your landlord profits from your paralysis. Every month you delay is guaranteed rent revenue with zero maintenance risk on their end. They love that you're overthinking. Nobody has an incentive to tell you the truth. The truth is, for many people, At many price points, in many markets, there is no winning move right now. The system isn't designed to help you make the optimal decision. It's designed to extract money from you regardless of which path you choose. Your confusion is profitable. Clarity is not. This is why the advice is contradictory and emotionally manipulative. We're sold this narrative that smart people time the market perfectly. They buy at the bottom with low rates and cruise to wealth. This is survivorship bias mythology. The vast majority of successful homeowners simply bought when they could afford it and needed stability, not because they caught the perfect moment. The Instagram real estate influencer who bought in 2019 before rates tanked? Luck, pure luck. They'll market it as genius strategy, 10-part carousel about their brilliant timing. But it was fortune. The person who bought in 2006 right before the crash, they suffered. Many lost homes. But most who kept the house and kept paying eventually saw it recover and are fine now. The person who waited from 2012 to 2018 for a crash that never came, they burned hundreds of thousands in rent and missed years of appreciation waiting for a catastrophe that didn't arrive. The cultural lie is that patience and market timing beats simple affordability math. The truth is, if you can afford it and need stability, the best time is when you're ready. Not when rates are perfect, not when prices bottom, when you are financially ready and need the stability. If you can't afford it, no amount of market timing will save you. A slightly lower rate on a house you can't afford is still a house you can't afford. Here's what nobody will tell you, so I will. It's okay to buy now if the math works for your income and you need certainty. It's okay to wait if you have specific timeline reasons and your rent is significantly cheaper than ownership. It's okay to never buy if your income and market are mismatched. Run your numbers. Take your income, multiply by 0.28. That's your maximum monthly housing payment to avoid being house poor. Include everything: principal, interest, tax, insurance, HOA, maintenance. If current home costs exceed that number, you cannot afford it. Not now. Not with small rate changes later. If you're close but not quite there, or waiting makes sense only if your rent is significantly cheaper than ownership and you believe your income will rise meaningfully. Let me redefine success for you. Making an informed decision with clear math is success. Being paralyzed by prediction games is failure. Buying when you can't afford it is catastrophe. Renting while building your income and savings is strategic patience, not losing. You're not falling behind by renting if buying would destroy your financial margin. You're protecting yourself. The most expensive mistake is making any decision based on what you think the market should do instead of what you can afford today. Should is a fantasy. Can afford is reality. Live in reality. The market doesn't care about should. It doesn't care about fair. It doesn't care that your parents bought their house for 3 times their income when yours costs 6 times your income. You can choose not to play a game that's rigged against you. You can move to a cheaper market. You can buy a smaller house. You can keep renting and invest the difference. You can wait for your income to rise. All of these are valid. None of these are failure. Failure is bankrupting yourself chasing homeownership because you think you're supposed to. Nobody makes money when you say, I can't afford this, and walk away. That's why nobody encourages it. But that might be the smartest financial decision you ever make.